Now, out of the 166 TDs in Dáil Éireann, only 25 are female, and women are massively underrepresented in Irish politics, as you can tell from that figure. And earlier in the season of the Late Late Show, we've spoken to Lucinda Creighton, and we aim to feature a number of other female politicians who've made an impact in politics throughout the series. So my next guest has been a key figure in Irish political life for the last decade. She isn't afraid to speak her mind. Politicians have faced her wrath in Dáil Éireann, and most recently she has received a lot of attention for her headline-grabbing appearances at the Public Accounts Committee. Have a look at this.
The story, I suppose, of the election is that Sinn Féin is on the move and a growing force in Irish political life. You've chosen very quickly to walk now the well-trodden path of Fianna Fáil and the last administration. I now discover, perhaps, Mr Conlon, that you've come in here to tell downright lies. Can I suggest, Taoiseach, that you relieve Minister Shatter of his duties? It was you and not I who offered up the term disgusting, and I am simply saying to you that that is a very strong term. I don't know why you're grinning at me. Can I put it to you that you earn more than the President of the United States of America?
Well, she's hotly tipped to be the next leader of Sinn Féin. Would you welcome, please, Mary Lou McDonald, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Strange to say, your first time ever on the Late Late Show.
And I didn't fall down the steps.
And you made your way down.
Relief.
In one piece. We know so much about you, really, as a spokeswoman for Sinn Féin, spokesperson, and we know that that you're active in various areas of public life. We know very little about you. So before we get into the political side of things, let's talk a little bit about yourself. You're from what part of Dublin? I
grew up on the south side of Dublin.
Yeah.
On Orwell Road, which is between Rathgar Village, right?
Beautiful road,
beautiful
yeah.
Place. And Churchtown.
Yeah.
So I spent my childhood there. I went to school there.
What school did you attend there?
Notre Dame.
Yeah, lovely.
A nice convent school.
Good.
I'm a nice convent girl.
I can believe you.
And I mean, I had a very happy childhood. I have two fantastic brothers. I have one lovely sister. I have a fantastic mother who's in the audience this evening.
Good.
I can't just... I spot her now.
Your wave there, she is, yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, I went to school. There was nothing, I suppose, exceptional in my upbringing, except that I was very happy.
Yeah.
You know, like any family, we had our trials and tribulations, but
you moved along.
We managed well, and we were lucky.
And life was good. And you went to college?
I did.
And what did you study and where?
I did my undergraduate in Trinity College, Dublin. Mm-hmm. I studied English literature. Good. Pure English. So everything from Anglo-Saxon all the way through to contemporary literature, and I loved it.
Lovely. And
4-year course.
And when you left college, what did you...
And then when I left college, I stayed in college.
One of those.
One of those.
Yeah.
So I did my postgraduate studies in the University of Limerick, and then I started a PhD thesis in Dublin City University. I never finished it.
Like so
because
many.
At that stage, I know, at that stage I had gotten married, but that wasn't the reason for it. I also became very political.
Okay, let's talk about the politics, because there's this big myth, or at least story, that you joined Fianna Fáil, you were all set for great things in Fianna Fáil, and then Sinn Féin got their hands on you, or you on them. We'll get there in a second. So what's the Fianna Fáil connection?
Well, I suppose the Fianna Fáil thing is that my family, I suppose like most, though not all Irish families, fell on one or other side of civil war politics. And in the case of most of my family, not all, that would have been an anti-treaty and therefore a Fianna Fáil side of the fence. So I suppose for me, bear in mind, I grew up in Dublin. Sinn Féin would not really have been a presence politically in the environment that I was in.
Yeah.
And I suppose, truth be told, Fianna Fáil was maybe an easy place or an accessible place for me to go.
Familiar place.
Yeah, and a familiar place. And I had a lot of friends in Fianna Fáil. I still do have lots of friends in Fianna Fáil.
How long did you last there?
And in total, I think a year.
Okay, and why did you part ways?
Well, it was interesting. I think a very good friend of mine, a woman by the name of Nora Comiskey, was sort of my shepherd into Fianna Fáil. She's still a very active woman in that party, and I think she would confirm that it became very clear to everybody concerned that I was in the wrong party.
Okay.
So I gathered that myself. I had been involved with an organisation called the Irish National Congress, which was a more broadly cast Republican lobby group, I suppose.
So what were you?
So I knew people through in Sinn Féin through that.
Were you too green for Fianna Fáil? Is that it?
I'm not sure that I was too green. I certainly am absolutely Republican. I always have been. But I'm the kind of Republican that believes not just in national reunification, although that's important, but also in terms of economic and social justice and equality.
And is that why you joined
And there
Sinn
was
Féin?
the problem for me with Fianna Fáil, and that's why. And by the way, Ryan, I made the right choice.
Yes.
I think I made the right assessment of Fianna Fáil at the time.
At the time. Was there anything else in your background that was kind of going to indicate you were going to head towards Sinn Féin then? I mean, had you been influenced by what you'd seen or read or down through the years, or no defining moment for you in your life as a youngster or a young teenager or whatever? Or?
Well, not really. I mean, except for the fact that, like, for all of us, and you and I are of an age, more or less.
Yes, it's true.
And any of us that grew up and that were kids throughout the 1980s, you certainly were conscious of the conflict in the north. So you weren't in the middle of the chaos, but certainly the chaos was a reality, and it was the backdrop to people's lives and to news bulletins. And
every day there was a death here, a death there,
absolutely.
a tit for tat scenario.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about then reaction from your social circle when you said, right, actually I'm joining Sinn Féin. You know, you're Dublin 6 or thereabouts. It wasn't the done thing at that time. So did you get a few raised eyebrows in your social circle?
Yes. But by the time I joined Sinn Féin, bear in mind, I'm living on the north side. I live in Cabra. I married a north sider. It's a mixed marriage. My papers were in order. So I have found safe haven in the place that I love, living on the north side. And for my family, I don't think they were terribly surprised that I had made that decision, and they were very comfortable with it. We're kind of a political family with a small p, so they were fine with it. For some people, in what you call the broader social circle, there were raised eyebrows saying, well, why on earth would you do that? And of course the reason I did it was because I was looking for a political home. I was looking for a party in which I could make a difference, that yes was about Irish unity, about democracy in Ireland, but that was absolutely categorically about social and economic equality, and I found that blend in Sinn Féin.
Which you did.
So it was the right home for me.
But it's funny that people should raise an eyebrow. I wonder why they would do such a thing. Here's nice Mary Lou joining the Bold Boys in Sinn Féin. I mean, was it a bit of that?
It may well have been, and I think that Sinn Féin was probably seen at the time as a very northern party. And I think there was just a lack of familiarity. Yeah, because kind of an unknown quantity.
Absolutely, but what's so striking about you and the party and down through the years has been that you are a distinctly middle-class woman of a certain background joining a party that had definitely a profile. So you were very much against type. And that's very striking about your story. I mean, when you were eventually becoming more and more prominent, this bit of footage we have of you kind of sums up that middle-class appeal, if you like, that you might have. This is from a clip from TV3. Have a look at this. Okay. It's you shopping.
I'm no different, I suppose, to any other working parent when you're in a job that's extremely busy. You very often struggle just to even do the basic things. So it's not like, you know, outside of politics, I have a very ordinary, regular life. Like, I have 2 children, I run my home, I have my friends, and I try and get a weekly shopping in. How much are the prawns?
Now, you see, we run...
Okay, so is it the prawns, Ryan? Can I just say for the record?
Yeah,
for the record, I inquired as to the cost of the prawns. I did not buy the prawns. I thought they were excessively pricey.
Ah, okay.
Just to say that to you, to put it on the record.
That's where I was going.
However, can I also say to you that I do not accept that it should be the preserve of the middle classes to eat prawns.
Yes. No, I didn't suggest it wasn't.
Yes.
By the way, it's you that's going on about the prawns, Mary Lou. I didn't even mention them. It's just that you happened they caught your eye in the freezer. But it's also another bizarre thing that you wouldn't see too many men being followed around doing their weekly shopping, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
Male politicians.
No, you wouldn't. But when the programme in question was being made, the requirement for the programme was to talk to you not doing politics. And the reality of my life, because I do have 2 small children, the reality of my life is that when I'm not working, I'm ma'am, and I'm at home, and I'm doing all of the things that mothers do, including shopping. So I said, well, you can come and
follow you doing a typical day in the life. Okay.
So cause to stir in a super quinn.
Let's talk politics. Let's get down to business in some respects, because the news tonight, there's lots of news tonight, one being the arrest and charging of a man for the murder of Jean McConville. I presume that's something you would welcome, or can I ask you, do you welcome that development?
Well, I note the development, and I'm conscious, of course, I don't have any information other than this has happened and there will be due process. I will welcome anything that offers additional comfort to the McConville family, to the other families of the disappeared, and to the thousands of families from all sides who have yet to discover what happened to their loved ones and why. And
if we focus for a second on Jean McConville, have you condemned the murder of Jean McConville?
Oh, I do.
And
absolutely.
have always done so.
Oh, I absolutely do.
And
can I just say, and Ryan, as you raise it, I think everybody knows that in the course of the conflict and the chaos and the viciousness that was at play during very many long years, that very, very many wrongs were done to thousands and thousands of people. That's the scale of what we're dealing with here.
It is indeed, but I just want to concentrate on this particular case for the moment, and there's a piece from a documentary that I want to share with you, and we'll talk about it in a second. Have a look at this.
Brendan Hughes, once said to have loved Gerry Adams as a brother, goes even further. He admitted being involved in the IRA's investigation of Jean McConville, but says the responsibility for her death lies with Gerry Adams.
This woman was taken away and executed. Jean McConville. There's only one man that gave the order for that woman to be executed. That man, right, is now the head of Sinn Féin.
Do you believe Gerry Adams ordered the death of Jean McConville?
No, I don't. And the voice that you've heard there is of Brendan Hughes. Brendan is no longer with us. He died. But Brendan was on record for a very long time as a very, very vigorous, very determined opponent of the peace process.
So you think he was just getting back at...
Brendan's contribution there is part of a selection of interviews that were done through a particular university. They focused exclusively and deliberately, I believe, on people who shared Brendan's absolute opposition
Dolores
to
Price,
the peace.
you put in that bracket
and Dolores,
as well.
yes, the late Dolores Price.
So they're all wrong.
But Ryan, it's not a case of me putting them in that bracket.
Yes.
All of these people were very, very clearly and said very clearly on the record, in Dolores' case, for instance, that she would do anything to destroy the peace process and to damage Gerry Adams. So just so as we understand that it's not an argument, it's an explanation of the realities around where those commentaries were coming from.
I just want to know where you were on all of that. And I do want to ask you, Gerry Adams has always said he was never a member of the IRA. Do you believe that?
I accept that. I mean, Gerry has no conviction for IRA membership. You've discussed this matter up and down with Gerry Adams. Yeah. The expert on Gerry Adams is Gerry Adams.
Yeah, but he's the leader of your party. You're
absolutely.
Definitely. I notice you say I accept that. Is that the same as believe it?
Yes, I believe it.
Okay, that's just checking that. And can you think of a Taoiseach, Mary Lou, or a Minister of Justice or Chief Constable of the PSNI who would believe that Gerry Adams was never a member of the IRA?
Well, you're asking me to speculate now. I mean, why would you ask me that question, Ryan?
Well, I think that there's a lot of people who have been for years curious to know whether Gerry Adams would or would not actually admit to being a member of the party that I think pretty much every dog in the street thinks he possibly was, and are intrigued by his denial.
Okay, and you've had Gerry on, I think, on this
a couple
seat,
of times, yeah.
And you've raised that issue with him, and he has answered it. And the interesting thing, the thing that intrigues me, although that this is a question you're entitled to ask the question from a media point of view, that I've been the length and breadth of Ireland and beyond with Gerry now over a long number of years, and I can assure you that is not the question that people put time and again to Gerry. I think Gerry is acknowledged as a very significant political leader.
Well, let's talk about the leadership, because when Gerry Adams became leader of Sinn Féin, I was 10. I'm now close to 41. You're not far behind me or ahead of me. I won't say which. Is it time for him to maybe leave the leadership of the party?
No,
it's a long time, isn't it?
I don't believe so. It certainly is. It's 31 years, and there's a reason why Jerry has been in the position of leader for 31 years, and the reason for that is that he has been an effective, actually a transforming leader in terms of Republican politics and Irish political life.
But is it time to move on, do you think?
And his track record shows that. We had an Ardèche 2 months ago, less, a month ago, and Jerry was re-elected party leader. The reason he's the leader is because he is the best person for the job.
So until he decides he's going to go. But
until he decides, and until, bear in mind that the Sinn Féin operates in such a way that the grassroots members elect their leaders. So it's not the preserve of parliamentary people or a small group in the party.
You mentioned, we're on the leadership briefly. Do you think Pearse Doherty would make a good leader of Sinn Féin?
Oh, I think he potentially could. Pearse is articulate, he's bright, he's personable, he's a great colleague. Absolutely.
Do you think you'd make a good leader of Sinn Féin?
I think I could do. But
do you think you have what it takes to be leader of Sinn Féin?
I think I could have. Yes, why not?
What do you think it takes?
Well, I think to be in political life, first off, I think you require two things.
Go on.
I think you need cop on, and you need backbone.
Have you got both?
I believe I do.
Okay.
Now others may contest that in my own mind.
Are you hungry for the leadership in the sense that in the event it comes up, would you be very keen to get the job?
Well, Ryan, just so as you understand, first of all, there's no contest at the minute.
No, I know
secondly,
that,
no, please.
Go on.
Just let me explain to you. Just let me say this bit, okay? Secondly, for me, this isn't about my personal ego, or it's not about some master plan, career plan that I have, right? So just to say that, and in fairness, as and when the issue of leadership arises, whenever that time might be, I've no doubt that there'll be several people who will have their hat in the ring.
Of course.
Do I think that I could lead? I think I could. The other thing is I spend a lot of my time encouraging women to come into politics because I think women are really good at politics. And people who know me, probably particularly in the party, are nearly tired of hearing me saying, if you're asked to do something or if an opportunity presents, don't second guess yourself. Do it. Okay. You're capable. You're able.
If I was to say how much would you like the leadership of Sinn Féin, you'd say very much, a little bit.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Look.
Come on, Mary Lou.
No, come on, Ryan. That's a mad kind of question.
Okay,
I know.
I think let's face it. I think it's a very much. Okay, I just have to assume at this stage.
No.
But there is a feeling that Jerry Adams, rightly or wrongly, that he's kind of, it's end game for him in terms of the leadership.
And whose feeling is that?
Here's what I'm saying. Yeah. This is I'd say broadly feeling in Leinster House in terms of in the event
Leinster
of you
House.
guys going into power with somebody else. We have Labour Party, not very keen on it. Fianna Fáil, only this week saying not really interested in doing business with Sinn Féin. But Enda Kenny came on here as leader of the opposition a few years ago. Here's what he said on this very question. Will you go into coalition government with Labour Party?
We have no pact with any party.
Would you have a coalition government arrangement with the Green Party?
Well, the Green Party are locked in with Fianna Fáil. The only party I ruled out was Sinn Féin.
Why?
Because I ruled them out clearly before the June elections.
On what basis?
By that. Well, obviously there were some matters that were not cleared up. And
like what?
Well, there was some implications in terms of details about Northern Ireland activities. They've come forward and
like what?
Changed some of that now with the...
but what activities?
With the peace... Well, activities that were, related to republicanism.
Yeah, and of course in 2012 the same man, when he was Taoiseach, accused Jerry Adams of being a member of the IRA and so on. So you've got Labour saying no, Fine Gael saying no, Fianna Fáil saying no. The feeling might be that with new fresh leadership, maybe somebody from Rathgar at the helm, that suddenly Sinn Féin become viable for government office in the Republic of Ireland.
Well, I'm really heartbroken to see the Taoiseach dismiss us in that way, as you can imagine. I think the real question for us would be, based on their current record in government, Fine Gael, you mentioned the Labour Party, you mentioned Fianna Fáil, whether or not there would be a viable basis for doing business here. politicians and Taoiseach and Taoiseach and all of the rest of them will say what they have to say to position themselves in a particular way. And I presume that piece of footage was during an election campaign or in the run into it, was it?
Yes.
So that's just
there's no election today, and you have Micheál Martin saying no. There's no election today, and you still have Labour Party saying no.
We're within weeks of elections.
But come on, you're one of the smartest people,
of
parliamentarians in the country, and you must see the wood for the trees. I mean, like, break it down to a simple thesis. Gerry Adams leaves as leader of Sinn Féin, and with him the legacy. In comes fresh leadership, and suddenly it's all to play for. And the door's open to you, and then you get power, and then you can implement your policies.
Ryan, first of all, just to say to you, under Gerry Adams' leadership, we've actually grown very substantially in the southern state, right? Secondly, Sinn Féin is Sinn Féin, and our commitment to social and economic equality, to Irish unity, to building and developing the peace process, that's who we are. That's what our politics is about. So if you imagine that by changing the leader that you change all that, you have us all wrong.
But you're going to be very lonely as a party.
We're not a bit lonely.
You will be lonely.
No, we're not going to be lonely.
Because you'll have no one to play with in the schoolyard. No. Because they're all saying, not them until your man goes.
Well, Ryan, this isn't a game, and we're not into playing with people and our schoolyard politics. This is serious business, and we have a serious job to do by way of representing people.
Talk to me about the Public Accounts Committee before we go, because that's brought to a lot of people's attention. Do you see it as a politically important piece of democracy in all its glory, or do you agree with some people who think it's getting a bit witch-hunty?
I don't think it's witch-hunty, and I don't think it should be witch-hunty. It's the committee itself is cross-party. It operates for the most part in a very non-partisan way. The entire objective of it is to get accountability around the spending of public money and the governance arrangements around it. And I don't think it's right to categorise or to describe a witch hunt, a process whereby you call people in receipt of very large amounts of taxpayers' money to account. I think that's the way business has to be done. And I think the committee has been extremely effective.
On another point, and it's not a very important point in the great scheme of things, but it is in the sense that we talked about women's representation and all, which of course is very important. When you get up to deliver a speech, you get heckled. Do you get heckled more than a fella does?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay. Here's what happened when you got heckled one day, and I think they just broke you. Little bit.
The people ultimately will decide, should you put this matter to a referendum. Have you any idea when that referendum might happen? Have you any notion?
Well, they seem to like it. Is that parliamentary?
You had to play that bit, didn't you?
Did you just were you just sick of the sight of them?
Listen,
who was that, by the way?
I don't recall.
Who was that, Deputy McDonald?
I do recall, actually.
Go on, tell us who it was.
It was just so irritating. I mean, you're trying to
Hang on, which deputy was it?
You're trying to make a serious point, and then you just have this. I don't mind. You see, if the heckling is witty, or even if it's strong politically, okay.
Yeah.
But you see, when it's just nonsense.
Who was it?
Just trying to shut you up for the sake of it. It's really annoying.
Straight shooting.
Something like this.
Who was it?
I know, I won't name who it was.
Do you want to know who it was? Yeah. Come on, it's only a...
No, the whole country, no. The person who it was might be tuned in.
What party?
And might take a government party.
Fine Gael or Labour?
It wasn't the Labour Party.
And so the hunt begins. Mary Lou McDonald, thank you for coming to see us tonight. Deputy Mary Lou McDonald.